So often on the show, we have opening topics that typically have some sort of intrigue or polarizing nature, mixed with a strong, informative angle and some occasional humor to it. So, however, this intro topic has no such humor laced within the storyline, and rather than read the article this past week and move on to the next, I felt it pertinent to showcase it on this week's upload. So, last week, an 8-year-old boy located in South America, actually Bolivia to be specific, picked up a spider, placed it on the back of his palm, and allowed the spider to bite him, all in hopes that the arachnid would transform him into Spider-Man.
I knew exactly what that was going into. Nice.
Obviously, the biggest concern for the pediatricians and health authorities was determining what type of spider it was. After further investigation and tests, it was revealed that the boy was bitten by a black widow. 30 minutes after being treated for the bite with antivenom, the young boy showed signs of improvement and eventually full recovery from the bite. But, I mean, it's quite a startling scenario because even though growing up and seeing Tobey Maguire act out the scene of being bitten by a spider, it never really dawned on me as a 9-year-old that I should go pick up a spider in hopes that I would have superpowers as well.
Right.
But many have to assume that such kids could conceive a dangerous conclusion that such an action would elicit such a result.
Yeah, I never, ever would have even thought of picking any spider up, for that matter, mainly because I know we're supposed to be guys and, you know, kill the spider or whatever, but I'm one of my worst fears is actually spiders. I just don't like them anyway. So, yeah, I wouldn't have not done that. And I guess that also shows what the general consensus for children is in terms of that. It's like, well, it must be real.
I mean, it's hard to say. So, I mean, and this is not to knock down another country, but this is South America, so you do have to assume that, you know, there is some lesser educated regions about that country. So that's kind of taken into consideration. But yeah, it really did kind of throw me for a loop there. And evidently this has actually happened before, which it's not too surprising, but it's definitely alarming. But
glad the kids are okay.
Yeah, so as obvious as this sounds, we start out today's show with a simple reminder to all parents, especially those with the young kids that are widely enthralled by the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just take a moment to affirm with your kids the clarity behind the popular comic storyline of Spider-Man. Obviously, as kids, they have big dreams, many of which are healthy aspirations, but never underestimate the power of suggestion mixed with the severity of imagination. So one may never know what a kid is thinking until it's too late. So quite frankly, actually, I'm just grateful that there's no such thing as Snake Man in Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I'm happy about that too, actually.
That would be pretty bad. But anyways, on to actual regular news here. You're going to direct us into some interesting updates. Is that right?
Yeah, so one particular app, and I don't think we have hardly ever mentioned on this podcast, is Waze.
No, not really.
And they have fixed a minor issue where a bug would cause the app to not alert users of the correct fuel that is required for their vehicle. It's not a huge, super crazy important thing to talk about, but some valuable info for Waze users.
I actually didn't know that was... I don't even pay attention to that stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. And I don't even use... I have Gas Buddy, so that's where I usually get my information for gas.
Well, I mean, I just look at the range on my gas tank, so it kind of lets me know, you know, what I need versus like... Is it talking about like mileage, or is it actually talking about like, hey, this is how many gallons it's going to take based on your fuel economy?
No. It's about the right kind of fuel for your vehicle.
Shouldn't you already know that?
No, it directs you into the direction of the closest gas station that provides that kind of fuel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Oh, well.
Which, I mean, in retrospect, it's really not needed because if you have a car or whatever, I mean, or a truck, you know what you need. But I guess it may be more of like, I don't know. It's a little odd to me, but I mean, it's in there.
I actually, okay, I can understand that on some level because I mean, a lot of us use 85 in our cars, so at least that's the majority of us. I'm sure there's some others out there that, you know, stick with the diesel or the high octane, but yeah, I mean, I can get that though. You know, you want to get directed to the right gas station that provides you with the correct fuel for your car. And so I can see how that could be detrimental. But that's just kind of interesting, though, because for me, I either pull up the closest Shell or Exxon Mobil. That's really what I do.
For real.
So,
yeah, same.
I'm not really worried about that too much. So, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But was that really the only major thing to that update, or do they have any other improvements or features?
That was about it. There are some other issues that were mentioned. I can't remember exactly what it was. There was actually something. There was actually something that the article mentioned about Waze wanting to add an alert, because I know that obviously they have alerts for like car crashes, police, slow traffic jams, stuff like that. Yep. Apparently in 2020, they actually talked about releasing an alert for speed bumps.
Dude, I would totally been on board with that.
Yeah, me too. I didn't even know about that until now, but apparently they've been continually saying, hey, we're going to add this, we're going to add this, we're going to add this, and they still haven't done it yet, and people have been kind of upset because they do want that to be added to Waze.
Yes.
I'd like it.
I just feel like that would be so like critical. I mean, not that you hit speed bumps out on, the big interstates, right? But as far as like local residential places, there's definitely some speed bumps out there.
I don't know how you'd actually do that.
I don't think it'd be that difficult, and then again, this is Waze, so they're owned by Google,
right?
I imagine that would be pretty easy, but
for sure.
In either case, moving on to again another carrier. We're just hopping on the carrier bandwagon here. So last week we discussed how the Tidal on Us from T-Mobile would come to an end, and eliciting a wave of SMS texts to customers, cautioning them that the perk would no longer be offered. Well, now it seems that T-Mobile has a replacement perk to help compensate for the loss. It looks as though Pandora Premium is the next service on deck.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
So the terms are only offered to each primary account. So if you have multiple lines, you would have to log in with the same account, obviously.
Gotcha.
And it only covers a year subscription to the service. So that's something very important to keep in mind. It's also worth noting that the main audience of this perk are those who had previously been on the Tidal plan. So they would actually receive the text directing them to the replacement. However, if you did want to jump on board, you can always get in contact with customer care for a redemption code if you weren't in on the previous Tidal plan.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's limited in many different ways, but that's...
I mean, you like I said, common customers can still get it. It's just it's going to be more prominent for those that were already in because they know that they're missing out on something.
And also, it's only for 1 year, and also it's only one account, like even if you have multiple lines. So
exactly.
It's okay, I guess. I actually... The last time I used Pandora was about a few years ago because I used to listen to it a lot. That's how I got a lot of my music from while I was doing homework and stuff for college and high school. But, I don't even think... Would you say a lot of people use it? I
actually know someone that uses it, but
okay.
I guess it's, obviously as it all goes, it's always preferential, but
yeah,
sure. Pros and cons to every service out there. So I guess people still like Pandora.
Okay. Well, our next topic we got has to do with the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro. We've actually mentioned pretty much every single rumor there is to talk about Google on this podcast.
Absolutely. Yep.
So why not bring some more in? The colors have been confirmed for the 8 and 8 Pro.
Oh boy.
So we're getting the following for the base model: licorice, porcelain, and sky.
Okay.
And for the Pro model, we're getting licorice again, peony, and haze.
What was the middle one? The peony?
Peony, yeah.
Is that supposed to be a green color?
It's a pink.
Oh, is it a pink or a salmon pink?
Judging by all the images I'm getting, it looks to be pink.
Not sure I would have thrown that into the Pro line, but okay, that is interesting.
Maybe it might be a light pink. I'm not exactly sure. And then also, this has been confirmed too, and obviously we know this from the actual Pixel tester who deleted his post on Reddit really quick and went dark. 128, 256, and 512 are the options, and I think those go both ways for the base and the Pro as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was actually, because there was an article out there as well, asking, is 128 too small in this day and age? And I'm probably going to say yes.
Well, we'll actually get to that here in a bit.
Okay.
in a couple articles, we'll kind of discuss a little bit in depth. But yeah, that is something to consider for the storage options. And yeah, so those colors, obviously licorice would be like a black, porcelain would be like a white, sky most likely would be a light blue.
Yeah, because they have that on the 7A, I believe, is what they call the blue color, sky. So
yeah, and there's also a fourth color, jade.
Ooh.
So this one will be a green, probably. And that one, both for the 8 and the 8 Pro, so you're not going to miss out on this specific color if it's rumored to actually be part of it.
Neato. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at the jade color. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, me too.
But actually, hanging on with Google, so despite the high price, you can currently score a 3-month introductory price of $65 for YouTube TV. Now, for some, you're probably thinking that doesn't actually sound like a discount. And that's likely because you're among the existing customers that subscribed before it jumped to $73 a few months back. But with the service over doubling the price since its initial price 6 years ago, an $8 discount is a modest incentive to try out the cord-cutting TV service. So the only catch-22 is that it's only available for new subscribers. So not much of a shock there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, if you get that, I think, or unless the NFL Sunday Ticket is not eligible anymore for if you have YouTube TV, because you get a discount, I think, right?
I think they do still have some promo discounts running for Sunday Ticket.
Okay.
Probably until it could be coming up here pretty soon in August. So this is already the 7th during the recording. So
okay. So yeah, if you get that, you technically get 3 months plus NFL Sunday Ticket for what, 400?
Possibly somewhere around there. Yeah, you probably have to check the fine print to see all that.
Probably maybe can't combine it necessarily, but yeah, that's
cool,
like
I said, it doesn't necessarily seem like a discount just because when I was looking at it, it was $65, and a few months later, it's now $73, and we're getting what seems to be a discount. So
gotcha. The M3 Max, we have some more info regarding it, and apparent rumors have indicated that Apple is testing the chip with up to 40 cores of GPU. And just for comparison's sake, the M2 Max had up to 38 cores. So it would be a slight advantage in that regards. Allegedly, these chips will be put into the high-end MacBook Pros. So it is something to look forward to. I know we've actually mentioned this like twice now.
Yeah.
I think it was rumored that the MacBook Pros for the M3 would be coming out the beginning of next year, if I'm correct about that. So obviously this is probably a good time to start testing it and ensure that it's going to work properly. But 2 extra cores, that's not like super crazy in terms of what we've seen in the past. But that is definitely a step up.
Yeah. I think, and then we also have we do have that secondary fall event too in October. So we could get some Macs there too.
Yeah.
So it'll be hard to say. Another combustible case citing a smartphone has surfaced, and this time it involves OnePlus and the Nord 3 model. So evidently a man who bought the phone brand new from Amazon over in India only had the device for 5 days when the phone exploded. So sadly, one repercussion did take place as the man's 8-year-old boy was in the vicinity when the phone exploded, and since then has been experiencing some issues with hearing. So I'm not really sure what it is about this episode and 8-year-old boys, but
you don't know.
It's a tough age, so
yeah, I guess so.
We feel you, little guy. So we hope you get to feeling better and hope the hearing improves, because that is pretty sad.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the only instance we've heard of the Nord 3
so far. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what. A complaint was filed through the local police against OnePlus, and the company has reached out to the customer with a request to send the device back to initiate an investigation on the situation. So we really don't know exactly what caused it specifically and whether or not OnePlus will kind of release more information on that. But I mean, it's India, so there is hot weather. I don't know if that has any factors to it, but
plausible.
We'll kind of have to wait and see how that unfolds on that one. That's kind of a little alarming.
Absolutely. The iPhone 15 Pro has an elimination and an addition of storage options. A 128 would be the one to be 86ed, and the 2 terabyte would be the new storage option. This one, I feel, is a little more controversial, not to the 2 terabyte. That's insane. But regarding the 128 being crossed out, I think it was last year that we actually discussed in the next few years they'd be starting to get rid of the older capacity options.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that now. It seems to be rumored, although it seems to be most likely true. 128, and then maybe in a few years 256, and then so on and so forth until, I mean, you just have a phone that's can basically hold the storage of a really solid gaming computer.
Yeah, actually, my perspective on that is a little bit reversed. So the 2 terabyte is actually more controversial for me. The 128 isn't, only because I've also heard rumors of that as well. And that's backed up by the fact that all the pros have the ProRes. So it's kind of pointless to have the 128 in there, as
that is true.
Often most people are going to skip that tier. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that side of things. But yeah, 2 terabytes is insane. I'm actually kind of surprised, and I'm very confident on this. I don't even think Samsung has done that yet in reaching 2 terabytes, because they were probably one of the first to actually hit 1 terabyte.
Yeah. It might be just trying to, the whole idea of trying to push boundaries of technology. And Apple's
That's
trying
right.
to
Yeah,
do that
Tim
the best
said they'll buy the highest one they have.
They will, yes. I mean, you are right, though. Who is going to use 2 terabytes of storage? Assuming they can buy that phone, they can also get Apple One. And that's already 2 terabytes on its own for family.
Maybe it's one of those people, like, it'd probably be one of those people on like the channel who like to use the iPhone as a recording device. And
yeah,
that way
that's
they can
true.
Just, not have to constantly transfer as much. So, but I mean, even so, 1 terabyte is, I feel like it's plenty. But hey, future-proof yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Although, in retrospect, most people upgrade their phones every 1 or 2 years. So there's that to think about as well. So who knows?
Also true.
Yeah.
Yep.
But actually, on that note, I did just want to make a brief reminder of some of the iOS 17 features that we're not entirely confident on launching with its first public release. So online airdrop, that's a feature that allows you to hand off an airdrop over the internet when initiated by 2 iPhones in close proximity. So we've heard about that during the keynote.
Correct.
And then AirPlay in hotels, which that's actually something I'm looking forward to becoming a reality. But that should be later on this year, but probably not during the actual launch.
Okay.
The Journal app, you and I weren't really totally amazed by that. But
no,
it's cool that it exists.
It is cool, yeah.
But it's just, it's
kind of out there.
That probably won't be here on September. And then name dropped Apple Watch, which isn't anything like crucial, but more of a luxury kind of feature there.
Right. Yeah.
Heck, anyone who buys an iPhone is probably gonna have a lot of luxury features. So,
yes.
But like I said, these should be expected to release later this fall or even wintertime, which that could mean some may not be available till the beginning of next year, depending on any setbacks Apple might encounter. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. Do you actually have any of those in there that you were kind of hoping for right away?
Definitely the proximity airdrop. That was one that I kind of was like, ooh, okay, that's pretty interesting. The specific ones, the proximity in general, is something that I'm very much looking forward to. Sharing your own contact with someone by just literally tapping your phone on top. Obviously, other phones have already, or other companies have already done that, but it's still pretty cool for us to be able to have that. Actually, I was going to say are you on beta 4 iOS 17?
To be honest with you, no. I'm actually on beta 3. I decided to hold off, just so that way my battery doesn't keep on getting hit with all sorts of degradation from constantly updating and heating up and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to skip every other one from here on out.
Yeah, I'm actually on beta 4 right now. So far it actually, because when I was on beta 3, I actually had a lot more lagging. My battery was heating up a bit more than usual. Just a lot of things going crazy. And even this weird thing happened where, I don't know if you have this problem or not, my refresh rate would go down to like 20 or something. It'd be horrible.
That's interesting.
And then I pressed low power mode and then pressed it again and it was fine. Super weird. But then I upgraded to beta 4 and actually things seem to be pretty stable, a lot more so for me, but I guess it's different from everybody. But
well, by the time this episode releases, there's a good chance that beta 5 will be out to the open.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully that's even better than this one. So, but that's still pretty good that those are going to be released. I'm very excited to see how those are used in day-to-day lifestyle. So.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're not going to come out right with the iPhone 15, it's still good that we're going to get those later this year. So.
Yep. But we'll go ahead and move right along to deals here. The first one we have is the Asus Chromebook Flip. This is the 11.6 inch touchscreen version. It's going from $349 to $229, so there's a 35% discount. That will be in the link in the description. I don't think I've actually used an Asus before. I know a lot of people that do. Seems to be a fairly reliable laptop.
Yep. And then the JBL Extreme 2 is still seeing an extreme discount of 53%, down from $430 to $200. So that's still readily available for you guys to purchase for over half off.
Nice.
Getting back to the finale news here on some of these topics. Once again, another carrier. This one is on Verizon. So it's not often we encounter this type of news. And actually, if anything, it's become something of a unicorn ordeal. But for the past month or two, we have had episodes updating our listeners on services, both streaming and others, increasing their prices.
Oh boy.
Well, Verizon's budget-friendly subsidiary Visibly is actually lowering their base plan from $30 down to $25. Again, that's a decrease for those of you who are a bit too accustomed to the trend of price increases. So
wow. Yeah, that's complete role reversal on that one. Wow.
It is. Well, they've been doing quite a few promos where it was $25, so they just decided to just
throw it all in.
Skip with all the just kind of skip ahead and just say, hey, it is $25 all around. So their premium plan that does include ultra wide band access still stays the same at $45. But yeah, however, the entry level plan has just been made a little bit more accessible for those on a tight budget. So if you were on the fence about them before or were considering trying them out, this should entice you to do so. So obviously there are limitations when compared to direct subscriptions to Verizon versus their offspring under Visibly, but it's certainly worth noting that not all plans are on the rise.
Yeah, I just earned a little bit more respect for Verizon. Good on them.
Yeah, right. I know. Usually Big Red is the one that's just hiking prices like crazy. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Today, which is Monday, the day we're recording this, marks Google's 25th anniversary, which is wild, honestly. I was obviously born in 2000, so that would have been 2 years after Google began. It's just insane to see how far they've come as a company. But they're actually doing a crazy sale, 25% on the following: Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, 7.8, Pixel Tablet, Buds A Series, Buds Pro, Pixel Watch, Nest Hub 2nd Gen, Chromecast with Google TV HD and 4L, Nest Wi-Fi routers and points, Nest Cam wired, Nest Cam battery. Just crazy. So, and this... Wow. Yeah, and unfortunately, though, the thing about this is it only lasts for a day everywhere except Japan. It will last till August 22nd. So by the time this is released, you will not be able to indulge yourself with these deals. It's kind of like I'm enticing you, but it's not nice. But you can go ahead and grab a special 25 anniversary wallpaper that you can download to your phone right now.
There you go, people. That's one way to entice you. Save some money. No, but we'll give you a wallpaper.
I feel like I just slapped everyone in the face right now.
I mean, 25 years. Hey, let's give some credit here.
Yeah, that is true.
They've definitely come a long way. I feel like probably one of the most impressive things is their Pixel. Coming from, some of their origination of Android, the very first smartphone that was trying to compete against iOS, and moving on to Nexus. Now they have the Pixel. I think they've really come a long way. Their other services aren't like the most amazing.
Right.
I wouldn't say obviously Chrome is extremely popular, but I wouldn't say it's the best. But YouTube TV is going crazy. I mean, they are just a madhouse of cord cutting.
They're getting a lot of money from it.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, they are. They really are. So, But 25 years, that's just something really impressive to see. And obviously, Apple's been around a lot longer than that. But hey, you know.
Yeah, we'll leave that 25 anniversary wallpaper in the description if you're interested.
Oh, goody. I might grab it myself.
Nice.
But anyway, actually staying on track with Google, no pun intended. Earlier this year, Google announced their partnership with Apple to make AirTags more detectable. An alert feature that would be available on all Androids going back to Lollipop version 6.0 or newer. It seems as though that feature is slowly starting to roll out to users as we get some snapshots of the alerts and how they appear on Android when detecting a nearby AirTag. Obviously, Pixel users are among the first to see this, but it should be spreading out to other non-Google phones as well.
Yeah, that's actually really good. All things considered, you know, we've heard a lot of issues with people tracking others using AirTags, and, you know, most likely you won't even know if you have one with you if you're an Android user, let alone a Google one. But that's really good there. I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah, this is still kind of one of those features that I'm torn about, just because...
Really?
Even though it helps with not being tracked by, you know, predators and other invaders of privacy, it just means that now you don't even need to own an iPhone to be notified if there's an AirTag nearby, which in theory renders the trackers that much more useless, since all a thief would need to do is pull out their phone, which now includes Androids, that allows you to actually manually scan the surrounding area for AirTags, play the sound and to help them detect where it is and pull the battery out. And pretty much your stolen belongings become infinitely harder to trace. So it's a bit of a compromising feature for those who buy the AirTags for which purpose they were designed. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of on the fence about this one. It's
there's always a bad part of this, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I will always understand the protection that this feature serves. However, it begs the question of what point is there to buy an AirTag if they can be easily detected, especially with Android and iOS, which make up virtually the whole of US consumer smartphones. So
exactly,
that's kind of where I land. I was never really a big fan of this in that sense. I kind of like the way Tidal's approach was to it. So
yep.
I don't know. I'm kind of hoping they can evolve this and make it a little bit more balanced between the two.
Yeah, I don't know how you would go about doing that, actually, because it feels like it seems complicated to where it is now, because if you want to know where if you're being tracking, that is a good way. But, like, how do you compensate for the opposite happening? Like,
I don't know. It's definitely a quandary. So I'm hoping that Apple and Google can kind of refine that and maybe find a better solution to just, you know, making them easier to detect.
Yeah, for sure. Well, moving on to some a little bit brighter news. OneUI 6 beta was announced today. Again, Monday, the day we're recording this. However, Samsung quickly deleted the post, stating that it actually will be coming out a bit later. Now, there is an image that shows the new design of the control center, which, in my opinion, I think it's a lot more polished, and they've added a lot more capabilities to the SCC.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, you gonna say what I was about to say?
iOS 7?
iOS 7, yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking it a lot of people are gonna say it looks very similar to that, but I mean...
remarkably similar.
Yeah. There are obviously some differences, but I mean, I think maybe Samsung might have taken some notes from iOS 7. It's possible.
I think part of it is probably the wallpaper, so that might be some of that.
Actually, that probably
But I mean, as far as the translucency, yeah, that's really...
strikingly close.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another thing to take note is that Samsung is giving users the option to change their wallpaper based on the time and mode, which is pretty cool, I think. I don't really have any problems with that. There are obviously quite a few more things to this update, and I think we might go into more detail on the debatable episode. But yeah, all in all, pretty big step up from 5, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, that sounds, again, remarkably like iOS, because that's what they do with their do not disturb modes. So.
Oh yeah, that is what they... I just forgot that.
Yeah, very interesting. So, I mean, I don't know. We talked about this last week, where we said, you know, there's certain changes that should just be part of the standard that you should welcome. I feel like this is just a common thing that's going on. So I can't really blame them for adapting that type of feature. However, this is just...
I mean, Apple also has taken notes from Samsung as well. They both kind of copy off of each other at times, and we couldn't really provide any evidence as to whether they were doing it because of them or because they thought they did it first. A lot of that controversy goes around when people are arguing like, hey, no, we did it first. No, it's like, no, they had it before then. Or it's like, well, we were just doing it just because we didn't even do it because
honestly, I can kind of, there are times when I will get on my soapbox and be like kind of irritated that they kind of made this copy because I feel like it's unfair. But in most cases, I would probably say that I don't really care just because the one person that is the beneficiary of all this is the consumer. So I think with these two competitors, or well, technically three, if you consider, Google, Samsung, and Apple, kind of innovating against each other and creating new ideas, it is all, for the better of the consumer. So, correct. And, the more and more companies you have out there, like OnePlus, Nothing, Xiaomi, Huawei, well, can't really count Huawei in the US, but hey, it's still, the added innovation against each other where it helps out the consumer. So yeah. Was there anything else on 6 or just the delay?
Just the delay. It was a little abrupt and weird that they did delete that, but I guess maybe they found some issues or some glitches and a lot more bugs than they thought they had.
Well, good for them. That is one thing they're not taking out of Apple's playbook is rushing the release. So
for real, iOS 17 has been, I'm on a group iOS 17 on Facebook, and there was one guy that was like, I think he was trying to ask about if she should upgrade, and a couple of us were saying, you might not want to this run because it's just a lot really buggy, at least for the first few betas. It's like the worst beta, I think, in my opinion, that they've had. For an update. Like they really just went out and just released it without even really refining it a bit more. Obviously there's going to be bugs, that's to be expected, but this one was just like infested. No pun intended.
I mean, that's really the telltale between, iOS 16 and 17 is just both of those were just so cluttered with bugs that by the time the public release did come, it was just, there wasn't enough time. And that was really horrible for the public in general. So, I really do think that Samsung made the right choice. I mean, if there is something that they need correct and make it better for the consumer, then you may as well. I mean, I would rather have Apple do that than rush the release and say, oh, this needs to be out by the time, iPhone 15 comes out.
Right.
I mean, come on, people, do some more testing. Make sure it's, thoroughly been cleaned of the majority of bugs that exist.
Exactly.
And then release it after that, because either you're going to have a whole bunch of apps crashing, or you're going to have a lot of, stutters and lags, or horrible battery life, or battery heating up. I mean, it's just countless things that are just detrimental to the smartphone experience, and I really just don't know why Apple needs to rush it. But
hey, this needs to be a little more thought out.
Yeah,
careful consideration, and I think that's also what allows users to have more trust in a company is when they actually care enough to say, "Hey, this is not ready yet. I know you've been anticipating it, but we still need to just work out some kinks in it." And they're like, "Yes, absolutely. That's necessary," because then it's like they actually care about the product they're releasing to the customer. And that's really worthy of a purchase and trusted consideration. So
yeah, very much. And I think Apple's just gotten used to, we announce in June, we release in September. We announce in June, we release in September.
Yes, it's been regiment.
It's been a horrible cycle for the iPhone users. And I kind of really just hoped and prayed that iOS 17 would just have been a kind of a refining year to kind of narrow down all the issues that's been going on with iOS over the past few years. So
that's what we were talking about, a rumor that was saying iOS 17 was going to fix a lot of bugs that were produced by the previous iOS versions. But this has only caused more issues, I think, in terms of...
Instead, it's just become like a steroid experiment.
I feel like they actually added features more than what we thought they were going to do. Because originally we were like, oh, they're just going to refine a lot more of the, operating system and not add a lot of features. Right. But it was the opposite. Yeah. And I was like, I love these things that you've added, guys, but man, this is insane. So
it really is. It really is insane. And we could talk about that forever.
For real.
I mean, this is technically, we're delving into a debatable topic right here.
we are. I was just about to say.
I mean, it's worth stating. It really is. So,
yep.
But in either case, we will move on to OnePlus again. So recently we've kept our eye on OnePlus, especially in regards to their expected foldable that was previously slated for August 28th.
Mm-hmm.
But has since then hinted at some delays that are rumored as a result of some display changes.
Okay.
So for those who have checked out those links in our past episodes about what this foldable was expected to look like, we are now seeing new renders that could very easily throw a wrench in production if they are true to form.
Okay.
What was once deemed to sport a taller aspect ratio, much like Samsung has done for their foldables, now looks closer to be what Google has done with the Pixel Fold, which honestly, that's my preferred choice of design when it comes to foldables. I'm not a fan of the Z Fold. I am a fan of Pixel Fold, the Oppo Find N. That's really what I like. I like the shorter style because you have a wider screen on the outer display and it's not so tall and you don't have to reach so high, and the phone is already heavy to begin with. So I'd rather have it a little bit more compact and you can still have a wider, bigger screen on the interior. But again, that's just preference.
Yeah, that's I would totally agree with you right there. A taller phone adds a lot more weight. It's a lot more cumbersome, and it's already a big screen as it is, and to put that much more screen on there is just I couldn't do that. Yeah.
So, and I really couldn't argue with that. And again, these are delays due to refinement and improving the product. So there's no argument here. I don't really,
which is good,
care for rushing this. Yeah. And I mean, this is their first product, so they'll probably still have some issues, but at least they're kind of addressing what they feel could be better or improve it before it's even released. So,
right.
I feel like they went in the right direction on this one.
Mm-hmm.
In either case, we're currently a little unsure as to when to expect this model. Obviously, it's expected to be sometime at the end of the year, but whether that's Q3 or closer to Q4 isn't set in stone, so at least as of yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that looks, assumingly that it actually is a lot less taller than we've been told. So,
yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that Samsung hasn't actually changed that. I don't know if they plan on maybe doing that with a future design, but
yeah, I think if you lessen this,
I kind of doubt
the screen size, I think you'd have a lot more people buying it.
Possibly, but I mean, you do have a strong following and a good ecosystem.
That's true.
So, but yeah, I mean, I do agree with what you're saying as far as that specific model. You might actually entice more people if you didn't have such a tall screen. I don't know what the push was for that, but
yeah. Remember last week I was saying that it'd be crazy if Elon took a mile when Apple had given them an inch?
Right.
Well, he did. After Apple made an exception for Musk and allowing the X app to only have one character, but they allowed it for Musk, Elon is wanting to ask Apple to take a cut of 30% of creator fees rather than 30% of Twitter fees. He said that he would only be charging 10% fees towards subscribers that earn 100,000 and above. This would mean that Apple's earnings from Twitter would diminish by a good amount. Now, in my opinion, if Apple had been a bit snide on the whole one character limit issue, then yeah, I would say Elon has a more reasonable approach. You guys didn't allow this. Could you allow this at least? But Apple did, and now it almost looks bad on Elon, considering he has made a lot of complaints regarding Apple's fees that they took of Twitter, or now called X. Is it logical or makes sense on those fees towards Twitter or X? Possibly, it's hard to tell, but just from a business standpoint, it kind of looks bad on Elon, in my opinion.
Well, it wasn't really unexpected based on kind of the trend that he's been making in the past year or so. But
right, exactly.
I mean, that's a general fee that they've had for every developer out there. So I don't really understand why Musk feels like he has to be the exception.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's just kind of one of those things that I kind of find akin to what happened with Instagram when Facebook took over. Mm-hmm. Instagram was such a popular platform, and ever since Facebook bought it, it's just kind of been run down, and it's not as good as it used to be. So I feel like this is just kind of that transition once again when, a bigger fish swallows a smaller one. So
exactly, for sure.
But speaking of Apple, actually, along with the iPhone 15 Pro rumors that we had mentioned earlier in the show with the storage, we have some additional quick items to breeze through on some other products. A lot of these are sourced from Shrimp Apple Pro or Ming Chi Kuo. So first off, we have the Watch Ultra 2. Not much here, except that we do expect a black titanium variant in addition to the regular finish currently offered in the Gen 1. So yeah, I'm definitely in favor of that one.
Me too.
I can't wait to see how that looks. And so then we have the next gen AirTags are expected to enter mass production in the fourth quarter of 2024 and should be upgraded with a U2 ultra wideband chip, which is also expected to be part of the iPhone 15 series this fall. Which is set to improve the overall tracking capability between the two devices. Yes.
Yeah, I did see those.
Yep. And actually, I will skip over the AirPods 4th gen rumors, since we've kind of already covered a lot of that in previous episodes of what we should expect that model to be when it releases. Yeah. Although any further information and rumors will sure to be highlighted on this show in the future. So now this one is a little frightening. Apple's expected to shrink the bezels on the iPads. Specific models have yet to be determined. However, it could mean the whole lineup in general, actually.
Is that a bad thing?
Quite frankly, it's a bit concerning, as I prefer to have some, black edges to grip onto when holding a larger tablet. So if you shrink the bezels, I'm going to be having accidental touches.
That makes sense.
So that's kind of where I'm a little hesitant on. But I don't know. I mean, as long as it's not too much, hopefully that's okay. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And lastly, on the note of the iPads, there is some unsettled accuracy on when we could see the expected 7th gen iPad mini. So even though one leaker states that it should be sometime this fall, I feel as though it will likely be next year during Apple's spring event. So Kuo actually does think it's going to become later next year. So obviously, the run-of-the-mill specs are expected. The time frame is really the only thing that is in question, at least for now. I'm not really sure if there's any products in there that you have your eye on. Obviously, you seem to be kind of sharp on that black titanium, but
I was really interested. That just looks sleek and sexy, honestly.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we haven't even seen any renders yet. And
I know. I can already imagine it.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is to be expected usually. I feel like iPads, they're a little more sparse in terms of the next upgrade.
Right.
Whereas iPhones are like literally every single year.
Exactly.
So I think it's a little bit better. It's a little more relaxing and, surprising to be like, oh, this iPad mini is coming out. Cool.
Right.
Whereas with iPhone, it's like, oh, nice. USB-C. Oh man, I've been waiting for that for 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just been forever since we've been wanting to get that. So
yeah, but that's good though.
But yeah, I mean, part of that for the iPad actually, just to go back to that one more time, I believe they actually have the iPad Mini release on a spring event, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, I think they do actually.
Yeah, so it probably would seem a little more logical to actually have that come next spring in 2024 versus this fall. So
yeah, for sure.
But anyway, that's why we're here, is to keep you guys up to date with the latest tech news and rumors. But that will just about do it for this week's episode. We will definitely catch you guys this Saturday for Debatable. This is JD and Riley signing out.
Peace out.